Hi, and welcome to the Elder Watch mini-series, Protect Your Heart and Pocketbook, Romance Scams in 2024. Elder Watch Colorado is a 20-plus year collaboration between AARP and the Colorado Attorney General's Office. Elder Watch provides educational presentations to Coloradans 50-plus to help them recognize, refuse, and report financial fraud and exploitation. Additionally, we have a volunteer-staffed fraud victim support helpline if you or someone you know might be the victim of fraud. My name is Jessica Zawadski, and I am the program specialist for Elder Watch Colorado. Valentine's Day may be over, but romance scams are here to stay. Romance scams are consistently in the top 10 scams reported to us here at the Elder Watch helpline. According to the FBI's IC3, the Internet Crime Complaint Center, in 2022, over 67,000 Americans reported a romance scam. Nationally, in 2022, victim losses stood at over $700 million, and victim losses for those 60 plus stood at over $400 million. Now, unfortunately, we know that this crime is significantly underreported, so in reality, victim totals and losses are actually significantly higher. To help you stay safe from romance scams, I'm here to teach you all about them so that you can keep your heart and pocketbook safe in 2024. This is the final video in the Protect Your Heart and Pocketbook series. So far, we've covered the basics of a romance scam, fake identities used in romance scams, the manipulation tactics we see in romance scams, how scammers target their victims, and today we're going to cover how to debunk romance scams. If you've seen some of the other videos in this series, you actually already have a bunch of anti-scamming tools in your tool belt. One of the tools that we've already discussed is a reverse image search. And a reverse image search is where you copy and paste or drag an image into a search engine as opposed to typing in a word. When you do this, you will get to see where that image comes from, where else it appears online, and you'll find out more about the image, which is a very powerful way to spot a scam. If you see that picture tied to another name, another identity, it might be a scammer. Different websites as well as dating sites have different versions of what a verified profile looks like and the steps involved. But generally, a verified profile will have a little check or a tick mark. Often it's blue, but not always. So here are two examples from two different dating sites of what a verified profile looks like. And what a verified profile means is that the individual whose profile is in question has taken additional steps to prove that they really are who they say they are. So if you see that someone has a verified profile, it's less likely that they are a scammer. And this is especially true when celebrity imposter romance scams come into play. If you think you're talking to Taylor Swift, but you do not see that verified profile designation, it's probably not Taylor Swift. Another tool that might help you debunk a scam is hovering over a link to see where it actually goes. Scammers may tell you that a link goes to one place, for example, to a page to pay their customs fees, but in reality, it goes somewhere else. Sometimes it might even go to malware or to a link that allows them to remote access your computer. Now, this can be a tricky one to spot because if you don't hover over, if you don't check the link, it might look like a real web page. But the way that you check a link is very, very simple. So what you do is you hover over the link with your cursor, just like you see on my screen, and then the web address tied to that link will pop up. On my screen, it's popping up in that bottom left corner. Now you can also check this on phones, but let me issue a warning. Every phone, every web browser is different. So make sure you do your homework before you try to check a link on your phone, just to make sure that you don't click into malware, remote access, things like that. That said, the general way that you check a link on your phone is that you hold down the link. So you touch it and you don't let go, and then that web address will pop up. Now, if someone tells you that a link is going to one place and you see that the address is a different country or it's just a mishmash of letters, it might be a scammer. Today's Heard on the Helpline is going to give you a new vocab word. So we received a call on the helpline from a gentleman who had been talking to someone he met on Facebook for a couple of weeks. They decided to meet up because he'd never met this person before. They friended him and he accepted without knowing who it was. But in order to meet up, the woman that he was talking to requested money for gas via a gift card. He complied with this request, but then, of course, she inevitably canceled with a flimsy excuse. She asked if they could meet up again and again requested funds, but this time the victim said no. In response, the scammer told the gentleman and showed the gentleman that she had obtained an illicit photo from his phone, and she threatened to show this to his friends and family if he didn't comply. Now, she got this photo through remote access. So, this is when someone is operating a phone, a computer, what have you, from a different location. So, if you could access my computer and move around inside of it without being anywhere near me, without physically touching my computer. So, she was able to remote access into his phone, and thereby she was able to find this illicit image. She was also able to shut down his Gmail and other apps within his phone. Now, this threatening, this blackmail with the image is what we would call sextortion. And unfortunately, we are definitely seeing it on the rise. Since this is the last video in our 5-part series, I wanted to give some tips on broaching the conversation in case you're watching this because it's not you who's involved in the romance scam, but someone you love. And the first golden rule I'll give you is to use an XYZ statement. This is also sometimes known as an I statement, but when I say XYZ, the X is the word I plus an emotion, the Y is an action, and the Z is a specific time. So a good example would be, I feel scared that you lent Romeo $10,000 last week. Or I am sad that John did not show up to see you in person on Friday. I am worried that he might be fake. The second golden rule that you should follow is to always avoid always or never statements. Not only are these statements generally not true, but often our reaction as the receiver of these statements is to find one or two instances that disprove that statement. For example, if you say to a friend, you always fall for people who use you, instead of listening to you, your friend is going to be inclined to find an instance where someone didn't use them. And at that point, your message is lost. If you've done your best to follow the golden rules I've provided in broaching this conversation with someone who's in denial, consider using some of the tools that we've discussed to really expose the scam. Could you try a reverse image search with the scammer's photo to prove to your loved one that they're not who they say they are? Can you hover over a link that was sent to your loved one to show that it doesn't go where it's supposed to go? It's actually fraudulent. Could you show them educational materials like this presentation, or there's many, many others? And maybe that won't change their mind, but it might attune them to be looking out for some of these warning signs, and slowly they might start to pick up on those patterns. You might even want to show testimonials from other scam victims because many scam victims want to get their story out there to prevent this from happening to someone else. If you don't know what to do, you're at a loss, go ahead and give us a call here on the Elder Watch helpline. Our phone number is 800-222-4444. Select option 2. If this is not your first video with me, at this point you know that getting your money back in a scam is pretty unlikely. But that doesn't mean that you should do nothing. First, if you met the individual on social media, online, on a dating profile, you should block their profile and you should report their profile to whatever site you met them on. If fraud has occurred, there's 2 things you should do. First, you should report it to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, that's ic3.gov, and you can report fraud to them at ic3.gov. You should also report fraud to the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, and you can report fraud to them at reportfraud.ftc.gov. If you're not sure what to do or you want to know about some extra steps that might apply to your specific situation, go ahead and give us a call here. You can call us at the Elder Watch helpline at 800-222-4444. Select option 2. That's it. Thank you so much for joining me for this series, Protect Your Heart and Pocketbook, Romance Scams in 2024. At this point, we've finished the series. This was the final video, and so far you have learned the basics of a romance scam, fake identity information for romance scams, manipulation tactics used by scammers, how scammers target their victims, and today we covered some tips on how to debunk a romance scam. Thank you so much for joining me. This is not the last of the Elder Watch mini-series. Check back next time for more information on how to stay safe. And in the meantime, if you or someone you know has been the victim of fraud, give us a call here. You can contact the Elder Watch helpline at 800-222-4444, select option 2. My name is Jessica Zawanski. Thank you for your time, and I hope that you stay safe online.